Came to the Senate, and people said, what's the difference? I said, the difference is night and day. Any senator can offer any amendment to any bill at any time. The leader, then Democrat Majority Leader George Mitchell, was following a precedent that had lasted for more than 200 years. The greatest deliberative body in the world deliberated. And we were here, yes, late hours in the evening sometime, when members said, wait a minute, I've got one more amendment. That person was allowed to offer that amendment. Many nights we spent into the dark hours working through a bill, but the process worked. That was honored by Republican leaders and Democrat leaders. Only now, at this second iteration of mine, it seems like a bad dream, actually, do we have a leader who has basically said, I'm not allowing you any amendments. I don't want to force any votes. That's not what the Senate was designed to be. That's not what it has been traditionally. And yet here we now are facing yet another piece of legislation. It looks like just as every other piece of legislation we have been faced with this year, the majority leader will come down and use procedures. It's called filling the tree. You can't explain that to anybody. Filling the tree, what are you talking about? It's procedures that are used to shut down the minority, to gag us. It's a gag act of the majority leader, basically saying, you don't have the privilege under my leadership of representing the people in your state that voted for you to come here to offer their wishes and their desires and amendments to reform a piece of legislation. I'm not giving you that opportunity. That's what the majority leader is saying over and over and over. Now, if you're in the majority, I suppose you can get your changes modified and moved into the bill that the majority leader brings to the floor, but then he turns to the other side and said, you don't count. None of you, all 45 of you, all 45 Republican senators here don't count. This is a Senate run by 55 people under the dictator leadership of the current majority leader, who simply has thrown a gag order on any Republican because they're afraid to debate and vote on measures that they think might negatively impact them, even though they are many times bipartisan-led amendments, amendments supported by single members or multiple members on the other side of the aisle. Because, we said, well, okay, he's turning down anything we offer, but what if we offered it with support from a member from the other side? He turns that down too, so he shuts down his own members. It is beyond my comprehension, having served here before and seen the Senate under the leadership of Democrat leaders, caused this body to function in a way that everybody had a voice. We didn't always win our amendments. If we were in the minority, we mostly lost our amendment. We had a chance to offer them. We had a chance to debate them, to try to persuade members to join us. And sometimes we were fortunate to persuade those members. Other times, they were bills and amendments fashioned together with Democrats and Republicans, brought to the floor in tandem, voted on, and they passed, and they were constructive changes. Today, it's shut up, sit down, don't offer an amendment, I'm not giving you anything. It defies the history of this place, the tradition of this place, and it has turned us into the world's least deliberative body. Not the most deliberative, but there's no deliberation here. It appears that the only way to change this is for the voters to go to the poll and say, let's get the Senate back to what it's supposed to be. Let's get to a place where we're not afraid to stand up and take a stand. Let's not be afraid to offer something, and if it passes, it passes. If it loses, it loses. But at least you had the opportunity to state your position and the opportunity to represent the wishes of the people who sent you here. We've been sitting around here being able to do nothing. Nothing. Because the majority leader said, you're in the minority, I'm running this thing, it's a one-man show, I'm throwing a gag rule over all of you, and we're shutting it down. Now we're coming to the tax extenders. There are good provisions in this. There are mediocre provisions. There's some that probably shouldn't be in there. But shouldn't this be debated? This impacts our economy. This impacts our future. There are many things in the tax extender bill that's coming before us, research credits and other things that stimulate the economy that I think are good. There's some things I think are bad. Shouldn't we have the opportunity to try to support the good and eliminate the bad, or at least make an effort at that? But yet, once again, it hasn't happened yet, but the pattern has been laid. Majority Leader will say, no, you're not going to have any amendments. We're going to shut this down, and we're going to do it our way. Well, apparently that's the way the Majority Leader has decided he's going to run the Senate. He makes all kinds of faults and excuses as to why he has to do what he does, but none of them hold water. I just regret that. I just think it has turned this place into a dysfunctional body, and I think the burden of responsibility for that falls directly on the shoulders of the Majority Leader. With that, I yield the floor.